Hey, it's Tim, University of Vinyl, back today. I want to focus in on some represses, reissues, something that I don't talk about a lot. You know, I'm all about original pressings and trying to find clean originals for many reasons. I think there is kind of a historical element there. I think the sound is, by and large, uniformly great. Uniformly great. I added a syllable into that word. We were closer to the master tapes. We were in the height of vinyl as it was, let's say, in the 1970s, even into the early to mid 1980s. For the most part, I'm talking about analog sound and the reproduction of that sound. And I think it's hard to beat so many original pressings that I just don't go chasing, and I don't have the FOMO anymore like maybe I did back in the spring and summer of 2020. I'll just do a quick gut check and assessment for whatever reissue is coming down the pike and kind of make a determination if, yeah, is that for me? Is that something that's really critical in the collection? Do I have something that I think likely sounds as good, if not better, than a later, years later, repress, reissue, remaster? The cases are few and far between these days where I will hit the buy button or make the trek out to one of my locals and pick up a reissue. There are, of course, exceptions, and that's what today's video is about. But, you know, just as an example, two original pressings that I don't think we need to chase down a reissue or remaster. One would be this outstanding original pressing, James Taylor's JT. Everybody knows this record, Your Smiling Face, Bartender's Blues. Did I talk about? Yeah, I've talked about Bartender's Blues and George Jones, and there's a connection there that's really interesting. Handyman, Traffic Jam, an all analog pressing. What was this? I think 1976, maybe 1977. You can find a gatefold copy in near mint condition for all of about $10, and maybe even less if you're luckier than I have been. This sounds amazing. I don't need a mobile fidelity pressing of this. And I shouldn't have even said that. I'm not calling out MoFi. They've done wonderful pressings. Take a look at the Bob Dylan and the Miles Davis catalog. But this title, the OG, works for me, and I think it'll work for you. Permanent Waves, and to me, you need to find either the Canadian anthem pressing or a US pressing, but you're looking for the pressings that were mastered by Ray's staff, and you need to look for Ray's, R-A-Y-S, or Ray's cut in the dead wax. There's something magical about this record, and if you can find one that is particularly clean and was mastered by Ray's staff, that is what you want. Don't bother with the more recent, the Rush reissues that came out several years ago. I've listened to one, I've sold it, and I'm back to the Canadian anthem, the original pressing. This was mastered at Trident Studios by Ray's staff, and it is just breathtaking. Okay, let's get into some modern reissues that I think deliver on the promise of fantastic sound, and they likely do better any original pressing or previous pressing that came before. This is one of my favorite Pearl Jam records, Yield. And lo and behold, in 2023, God, that sounded strange. Yeah, it's 2025. It's 2025. Yield, a very important record personally for me. I'm going to do another one of my, my music into memories pretty soon. I think I'm going to talk about 1998. This is the 2023 reissue, remaster, cut by Levi Seitz at Black Belt Mastering. I had the pleasure of being on Steve Westman's Audiophiles round table with Levi many, many months ago, and I promised Levi I would seek this thing out. Lo and behold, I found it last weekend at the Northern Colorado Record Show. This is actually put out by VMP. Here is the hype sticker. I don't know what's going on with VMP. Supposedly they're under new ownership, but there hasn't been a lot of activity or public announcements. This thing is a double 45 RPM, and this thing is just jaw-droppingly fantastic. So this is the benchmark for Pearl Jam yield, and I understand Levi has now done Pearl Jam's Versus. I'm waiting for Vitalogy, but I probably need to go out and find Versus as well. Okay, this one is really not controversial, I don't think. I think if you ask 9 out of 10 people in the know, people that love vinyl, people that love Fleetwood Mac, the double 45 Rumors cut is simply the benchmark these days. Mastered by Steve Hoffman and Kevin Gray, cut by Kevin Gray back in, I'm thinking 2011 or 2012. This will occasionally be repressed. And I jumped on this during the pandemic when we were back allowed out onto the street and in stores. I went into Wax Trax Records and picked this one off the shelf for, I believe, all of $42. Those were the days 5 years ago. This occasionally will come back kind of unannounced. And when it's not available, it kind of goes out of print sporadically and jumps up on Discogs. This is the definitive Rumors cut as we stand here in September 2025, according to a lot of people, including me. The Rhino High Fidelity series has been really interesting to watch. They have put out a wide variety of titles. Many of them have rivaled, if not beaten, the original pressings. I'm thinking about the Cars self-titled record. You can go find a very clean original Elektra pressing for maybe $20, $25, $30. And you might unfortunately run across a random tick, a random pop. If you go spend $48, $49, $50 for an unnumbered Cars self-titled, I'm pretty sure that is now available. Jaw-droppingly good. And Kevin Gray really kind of goosed those tapes in some way. I actually heard things that I had not heard from the original pressing. The original pressing, no slouch at all, but again, becoming challenging to find a near mint example. So in that vein, here's another huge recommendation from Rhino Hi-Fi, the Stooges' debut record. Now, try finding something super, super clean from Elektra, the original Stooges title, mono or stereo, almost impossible. And if you do find it, you're going to be paying boku bucks. Go get the remastered, incredibly pressed, reproduced. Look at these. Look at the quality of these Stoughton gatefolds. Simply amazing. My only quibble is they are very thick. They take up a lot of space. But, man, this is just so, so good. This thing rocks. That's RAWKS. The last two titles I want to mention and talk about briefly, they're both double 45 RPM cuts. There's a little bit of a theme there today. Several of these are double 45 RPM. Counting Crows. August and everything after. Good luck finding an original pressing. This thing was knocked out of the park. Chad Kassem somehow had the wherewithal, the vision to license this title, Acoustic Sounds, and it was repressed in 2021, and I jumped all over this thing because it is now currently out of print again. This is simply amazing. You know, I posted this on Instagram, and one of the comments I received is that this pressing is so good that it brings tears to this gentleman's eyes when he listens to this. And I took this out last week because I was thinking about doing a video featuring reissues that are fantastic, and this was near the top of the list. So wait for this to maybe come in print again. I'm shocked by how much this has jumped up on Discogs. We're way over $150, but wow, this thing is amazing. Okay, last but not least, I want to talk about the Acoustic Sounds UHQR series. So many of those have been amazing. There's been a couple misfires here and there, but by and large, they are just simply fantastic. Say what you will about these cumbersome boxes that, you know, they look really nice on the shelf, but God, they take up a lot of room. There's a lot of extra kind of not important material in these. Of course, they've got the kind of archival pull-out, whatever you call this receptacle. This is an example of, this is just simply jaw-dropping. Now, it helps that this is one of my favorite Steely Dan titles, and the original Robert Ludwig Master Disc title, the original pressings, they are no slouch. But there is just a little bit more, somehow Bernie Grundman got a little bit more out of a one-to-one copy tape. Yes, it could have to do with the clarity vinyl that they're using. It's cut at 45 RPM. More space for these tracks to breathe. And remember, this was quite a higher end as far as the spectrum is concerned. A lot of high end on this title. Bernie has managed to make this thing sound just a little more warm, a little more organic. Of course, the packaging is top-notch. What I do is I actually, for the few UHQRs that I do have, I take out the pressing and the gatefold and put that on the shelf, and then I'll use the box. In this case, I've got a few up here on my top shelf as kind of bragging rights. There is an example of that clear, kind of milky clear, the clarity vinyl that they're using. It's some kind of a proprietary, high-quality virgin vinyl. No dyes involved, which supposedly is going to give you a more cleaner, zero to very minimal noise floor, hopefully. Now, that hasn't always been the case for every UHQR that I've heard, but it does indeed be the case for Gaucho, the UHQR. I am going to be curious to see if Acoustic Sounds will, down the road, start doing double 45s or maybe even a double 33 of these titles, non-UHQR. I'm talking about like a $60 record instead of a $150 record. That'll be interesting to see, because they did that. They did the two later titles on double Were they double 45 or double 33? They might be one or the other. I need to double check. But they were able to deliver those titles for about $60, mainly because they probably weren't tied into a huge archival reissue remaster project with Bernie Grundman attached and all of this additional material. Last but not least, in 2014, Chris Bellman cut a series of all of the Bruce Springsteen albums, the traditional Bruce and the E Street Band albums, as well as, of course, Nebraska. They were delivered in a box set called the Album Series Volume 1. Here it is. A very cool, kind of a weathered, intentionally weathered look with the stickers and the stenciled Springsteen. But this is what I'm talking about. And it's got the pull-off top. I've got the original kind of promo, end piece that went on this. And there are all the titles. Really well done. Amazing sound. I'm pretty much done as far as I'm concerned, although yes, I'm going to be getting the Nebraska, the upcoming Electric Nebraska. Really looking forward to that set. Here is an example, and these were all cut by Chris Bellman. They are packaged in really nice anti-static sleeves, almost like a UK style bag there. And they exceed the original pressings. Now, if you go back and listen to Born to Run or any of those first run Bruce and the E Street Band titles, there are issues. There are issues with kind of a thinness in sound, a brittle top end in some cases. In other cases, there's just not enough bass. There's not enough mid-range. So these records have been fleshed out. They did use the plangent process on some of those titles to correct tape timing issues, but if you can get your hands on the album series Volume 1, all cut by Chris Bellman, originally released in 2014, by all means, that's something to seek out.